Can you imagine how your life would be if, in just one day, you completely broke free from everything that holds you back, paralyzes you, and keeps you stuck? It sounds absurd, right? One day to change everything. But it is exactly this contradiction that Napoleon Hill invites us to face. Most people say, one day I will change, but the real turning point starts when you say, today is my day one. If you are tired of feeling like you're going in circles, feeling you deserve more but don't know where to start, this video is made just for you. Have you noticed how many people live trapped in a false sense of security? They say, one day I will change, as if that day is marked on the calendar. But that day never comes, because in truth it doesn't exist. This is the big invisible trick the mind plays on its own will. It's easier to say you will start when you have more money, more time, or when things get better, for example, around $100,000. But do you know what is really behind this? Fear. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of trying and realizing you are not good enough. That fear paralyzes, steals dreams, and turns people full of potential into spectators of their own lives. Now tell me, how many times have you had a brilliant idea but let it go? How many times have you looked in the mirror and thought, I could be much further than I am now? This doesn't happen only to you. It is the reality of over 90% of people. There is alarming data from the University of Scranton showing that 92% of people fail to reach their New Year's goals. Not because they are not capable, but because they wait. They wait for the right moment that never comes. Meanwhile, time, this resource that does not come back, goes away. And with it, confidence disappears. What differentiates those who achieve from those who only dream is not intelligence or luck. It is the ability to make a decision even when afraid, to truly mark on the calendar, day one. Napoleon Hill said it clearly. The greatest risk is not failing, it is never deciding. He observed for decades the most successful men in the world. They all had one thing in common. They acted even without a guarantee of success. Thomas Edison, for example, failed thousands of times trying to create a working light bulb. But every morning when he woke up, he decided it would be another day one. And that consistency literally lit up the world. Now think, if Edison had waited for perfect conditions, if he had said, one day I'll try again, we might still be in the dark. The truth is that every transformation starts with an uncomfortable choice, and almost always, that choice comes without applause, support, or certainty. It comes with resistance, with that tight feeling in your chest, the urge to postpone again. But those who overcome this barrier and see discomfort as a sign of growth join the minority who truly change their lives. Many people believe they need to wait for motivation to act. But the secret is actually the opposite. Action creates motivation. When you start, even without desire or knowing if it will work, your brain begins to understand that it matters and joins the game. Here is a practical example you can apply today. Take a piece of paper or your phone and write down one thing you have been postponing for days. This can take weeks or even years. It might be sending an email, signing up for a course, calling someone, getting a quote, starting a project, anything. Choose one, just one, and commit to doing it today. Not tomorrow, not after lunch, today. It may seem small, but this is how you break the cycle of stagnation. You don't change your whole life at once. You change one decision, and that decision changes your pace, your energy, your focus. Every step taken today creates momentum for the next ones. Want another impressive fact? A behavioral psychology study from Duke University showed that more than 40% of our daily actions are based on habit, not conscious choice. That means if you don't interrupt the pattern, you'll keep repeating the exact same life every day, waiting for a one day that never comes. And I need to tell you a hard but freeing truth. No one is coming to save you. No magic hand will appear to fix your life. You are the only one responsible for marking your day one. And when you decide that, something changes deeply. You shift from spectator to protagonist. You stop waiting and start building. Napoleon Hill wrote it clearly. Success favors the determined soul that chooses action over waiting. He believed in this so much that even after being rejected by dozens of publishers, he kept writing and publishing his teachings on his own. He was mocked, faced financial difficulties equivalent to several $1,000s, and personal crises. But still, every day he did the same. woke up and chose to act. That's why today, decades after his death, we're still talking about him. Because his actions were bigger than his fears, and that's exactly what you need to do now. No matter where you are or how hard it gets, what matters is what you do with what you have today. So I ask you, will you keep saying one day, or will you turn today into your true day one? Have you ever felt like you're trying hard, busy all the time, but still not moving forward? It feels like you work, run, exhaust yourself, and at the end of the day feel you haven't progressed. Most people live like this. The problem isn't lack of ability or effort, it's lack of direction. Because those without a clear purpose end up wasting too much energy on things that lead nowhere. Napoleon Hill said, "Without a definite purpose, your efforts scatter like leaves in the wind." And he was right. Having purpose is like having a lighthouse during a storm. People chose a purpose and committed to it as if it were the most important mission in the world because it truly was. Take Walt Disney, for example. He was not born a genius. He was a poor boy who sold newspapers and drew mice on paper. But inside his mind, there was a world where imagination was stronger than limitations. He decided to create a place where adults could dream like children again. This clarity helped him endure bankruptcy, criticism, rejection, and obstacles that would have destroyed anyone without a clear purpose. His legacy still exists today because he knew exactly what he wanted to build. Now think about yourself. If I asked you, what legacy do you want to leave? Would you know how to answer? If you disappeared today, what impact would you leave on the world, your family, your friends, and yourself? The answer to these questions is not a luxury. It is a necessity. Without this clarity, any distraction becomes a priority, and that pulls you away from your true purpose. A study published in Psychological Science showed that people with a clear sense of purpose live longer, experience less stress, and report higher levels of personal satisfaction. Knowing what you are doing here is not just a philosophical matter, but a matter of emotional and physical survival. Napoleon Hill experienced this. In his youth, he did not know exactly what he wanted. He tried to be a lawyer, worked as a journalist, and went through many financial crises. It was only after interviewing Andrew Carnegie, the richest man in the world at the time, that everything became clear. Carnegie asked him, "Would you agree to spend the next 20 years studying the most successful men in history to create a philosophy of success?" Hill said yes, and that yes defined the rest of his life. He dedicated over 2 decades to this without any guarantee of financial return because his purpose was clear. This is what made him one of the most influential authors of all time. This kind of clarity is not a privilege of geniuses. It is a choice and decision available to you right now. Stop thinking that purpose is something distant, unattainable, or reserved for a few. Your purpose might be hidden in what you love to do, what makes you angry, or even the pain you have experienced. Purpose is not born from comfort, but from the desire to change something within you or in the world. So if you feel like you are living on autopilot, your life has lost its sparkle, you do a lot but achieve little, the problem might not be you, but the absence of a why. Even the way you speak and look at people will change. Because when you have a clear purpose, even the no's from the world hurt less, since you know exactly the yes you are aiming for. Everything starts with a choice, to keep living without direction, or to stop and courageously define what you came here to do. The rest, focus, action, progress, comes as a consequence. Your new life begins the moment you honestly answer, "What is my purpose?" There is a word that, when truly understood, transforms any defeat into momentum, any pain into fuel, any failure into a foundation for victory. That word is resilience. No, it's not just the ability to hold on. Resilience is much more than that. It is the art of rebuilding yourself stronger after every fall. It is the silent strength that separates those who quit from those who persist. If you feel stuck, stagnant, going in circles, maybe what's missing in your journey isn't talent or opportunity. Perhaps what you lack is resilience itself. Napoleon Hill said every adversity carries the seed of an equivalent benefit. But that seed only grows when you choose not to play the victim, but to learn. Because failure, when properly understood, is a more effective teacher than any course, book, or mentor. The problem is most people interpret pain as a sign to stop. They hear a no, fail a project, get criticism, and that's enough to back off, hide, and tell themselves, maybe this is not for me. But what if actually this is exactly for you? And what if the pain you feel is preparation for what is coming? And what if this current difficulty is the only path to reach the next level in your life? Abraham Lincoln is one of the strongest examples cited by Napoleon Hill. Before becoming President of the United States, Lincoln lost local elections, failed in business, lost the woman he loved, fell into deep depression, and had every reason to give up. But he did not give up. He fell, yes, many times, but each time he rose, he was a little stronger, a little clearer. Resilience did not erase his pain. It gave purpose to his pain. And here is a harsh but necessary truth. No one passes through life unscathed. We all at some point will fail. We will make big mistakes, lose control, hear people say we are not good enough and see doors close. But what will define your future is not what happens to you, but what you do with what happens to you. Science confirms this. A Harvard Business Review study showed that the most successful professionals are those who know how to turn failures into fast learning. They do not avoid mistakes. They analyze, learn lessons, and come back with improvements. This applies to career, relationships, finances, and every other area of life. Now let me tell you a true story that few know about Napoleon Hill himself. In 1929, at the height of the Great American Depression, Hill lost almost everything he owned. His businesses collapsed. He was chased by debts and lived hidden for some time, without money, without support, and with his reputation at risk. That was the end, right? Anyone would have given up. During that time, he wrote some of the most intense and revealing parts of his work. It was at rock bottom that he discovered there was still one step lower, yet he still had the power to choose the next move. Hill not only rose again, but refined his ideas, wrote and published Think and Grow Rich, which would impact millions of lives worldwide. His resilience was not a miracle. It was a choice repeated daily, even when everything said it wasn't worth continuing. Maybe you're at a moment like this. Maybe life has knocked you down. Maybe you feel discouraged, tired, and like nothing changes. I'm not here to say it will be easy, it won't. But I'm here to remind you that this too shall pass if you don't stop. Because true failure is not falling. It's deciding to stay down. Resilience is getting up even while still bleeding. It's trying again even while still afraid. It's not accepting pain but allowing it to transform you. Ask yourself honestly, what is this situation trying to teach me? Because there is a lesson in everything, and those who learn fast advance fast. You need to start seeing every difficulty as a life test, asking, how badly do you really want this? Your answer is not verbal, it's practical. It's what you do the next day when everything still hurts. It's what you decide to repeat, even without applause or immediate reward. Resilience is emotional consistency in times of chaos. And look, this is not a trait of special people, it's a skill that can be trained. You strengthen your resilience just like you strengthen a muscle. Every time you resist the urge to quit, you are training. Every time you start again after a failure, every time you lift your head after a no, you are preparing yourself for the yes that will change everything. And do you know what's the most beautiful part of all this? When you develop this resilience, you become a quiet inspiration to those around you. People will look at you and think, if he could get through all that and still keep going, then I can too. Maybe that's the greatest impact you can make in the world. More than any external obstacle, it does not shout. It whispers. But every time you hear it and believe, you take a step back until you stop moving entirely. Hill said belief comes before proof, and it's true. You don't wait for others to applaud you to start. You begin believing it's worth it, even if no one understands or sees it. The world doesn't reward the most talented or smartest. It rewards those who act with conviction. One of Hill's most powerful examples was the Wright brothers. Imagine two men without university degrees, without money, without political support, bicycle mechanics saying they would make humans fly. They were ridiculed, ignored, disbelieved. Science said it was impossible and the press mocked them. But what kept them standing was belief. They believed before any proof existed, and because of that they became the first to make humanity fly. Literally. How many times have you had an idea that excited you, but abandoned it because you thought it was too much for you? How many times did you compare yourself to others and conclude you didn't have what it takes? How many times did you give up before even trying because you didn't feel good enough? This doubt was not born with you. It was planted by criticism, mistakes, comparisons, and moments when someone made you feel small. But do you know what is stronger than all that? Your decision to no longer believe those lies. Studies from Stanford University show that people with a growth mindset, those who believe they can improve with effort and dedication, perform much better long-term than those who think their abilities are fixed. It's not how much you know today that matters. It's how much you believe you can learn, evolve, and surpass yourself. That is the choice you need to make now. Choose to believe in yourself before evidence, before results, before success. Belief is the seed, success is the harvest, but without planting, nothing grows. I'm not talking about empty, arrogant, or fanciful belief, but practical faith. The kind that makes you get out of bed with purpose, start even with fear, act without having everything under control. This belief shapes your posture, changes your voice, changes your gaze, and people around you start to hear you differently. The world responds to the energy of someone who knows what they want. When you believe strongly, you attract allies, opportunities, solutions, not by magic, but because your clarity creates movement. Now let me ask a difficult but necessary question. How many opportunities have you lost because you didn't trust yourself? Be honest, because as long as you keep seeing yourself smaller than you really are, you'll keep settling for less than you deserve. The big turning point happens when you realize you don't have to wait for anything else. Not the right time, not others' approval, not feeling ready. Everything starts when you decide to act, even with fear, even without guarantees. The most important point is simple but powerful. You have the power to transform your life in just one day, as long as you choose to start today. If this makes sense to you, the next video appearing on the screen will take you even further. There you will climb another step in your wisdom evolution and move 1% closer to your transformation. Thank you very much for being here with me. I'll see you in the next video.